So you can change a number of variables data by performing some simple arithmetic on that variable. So for instance, let's say we have a variable called age, and the value of that variable is 27. Next year, we will want to increase the age by 1. And I can do this by using the plus sign. So for instance, it would look something like this. Age equals age, and then we use a plus sign, and then 1. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll just go over it. So here we have age equals 27, and we're adding 1 to it. So now age equals 28. Then we're going to assign that 28 value to the variable age. And now if we print this, you will find that the variable age is in fact 28. So as you can see, it is 28. So I'll show you a few other math operators that we use in Python. First, let me comment this print statement out. So the first one we went over is addition. So something like 10 plus 3. If I was to print out the value, it would show 13. In a similar way, if we do 10 minus 3, the value would be 7. One thing here that is a little different is how we perform multiplication. So you might be used to seeing the symbol like X or times for multiplication. But in programming, we use this symbol right here, which is the asterisk or star symbol. So if I was to print 10 times 3, as you probably guessed, this will be 30. So next is powers. Whenever you see a double multiplication or double asterisk like this, it basically indicates that this is a power. So something like this would be 10 to the power of 3, which is 10 times 10 times 10. So if you print this out, as you may already expect, the value here will be 1,000. And moving on, we have division. And you might be used to the other division symbol, but in programming, we use the /. And here, if I was to run this code, the value here would be 3.33333 and so on. Note that the value of a division or the result of a division would always be a float. So even if I was to do 10 divided by 1, where we expect the result to be 10, if I run this code, you'll see that it is 10.0 because the value of a division would always be a float. So next here, we have a floor division. So like I mentioned in the previous example, which is that the value returned from a division is a float. In this case, the value returned would be an integer. So let's say I run this code. In the previous example, it was 3.33333 and so on. But in this example, we can see that it is 3, which is the integer. So essentially what we're doing here is we're getting the value, which is a float, and we're converting it into an integer. And as I mentioned before, if you convert a float to an integer, you lose some level of precision, which means all the decimals go away. So we're moving on to the next one, which is the modulo operator. So with this, it essentially means we are getting the remainder. 10 divided by 3 will give you 3, and the remainder of 1. So if I was to run this, you will see that the remainder is in fact 1. So one way we can use this in our program is to determine whether or not a value is even or odd. So if we did anything modulo 2, if it returns a 0, we'll know that it's even. And if it's 1, it will mean that it's odd. So as an example, if I use 10 modulo 2, we'll see that it is 0, which means 10 is an even number. And if we try the same for 15, we get the result of 1, which means that it is odd. So to make arithmetic operations more clear, I'm going to show you a scenario where we will write a program that will use these calculations. So let's say I want to calculate the area of a rectangle. And a rectangle consists of two components, the length and the width. So just as we see in our image here, let's assume that the length is 5 centimeters and the width is 3 centimeters. So we will create a variable for both the length and the width. So now that we have the variable for length and width, to calculate the area, all we will need to do is multiply the length and the width. And then we will assign the results to a variable called area. So it would look like this. So now if we were to print the value of area, we will find that it is 15, which means that the space in the rectangle is 15 centimeters.